Hey, what's up, C-Maniac Nation? C-Man chilling at parents' crib for the next couple days, and I was, doing some cleanup on my computer. Realized I had several videos that were done by the Joker that I never, ever put up. So we're gonna start with a little review that the Joker did. This goes all the way back to New York Film Festival when I went and saw Priscilla as Joker, and then came home and reviewed it. We got a couple others after that as well. If it gets a little laughy, I was just trying to get into character. But either way, I hope you guys enjoy the next few videos that are all Joker-led. So let's waste no more time and throw it to the past Joker!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Arthur, better known as the Joker, and I want to welcome you to another edition and a special edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit-Down. If you've been following along, Joker has taken the Seaman over. We are doing everything on Cinema Sit-Down. I took the reins for all the New York Comic-Con. We've had a good time, I think, both enjoying Comic-Con and talking about movies. And we've been talking about the New York Film Festival, which kind of overlapped with Comic-Con this year. And, Seaman and I have seen a bunch of movies. We've seen May December from Todd Haynes, phenomenal stuff. We've seen Maestro, which is going to be a heavy, I think, favorite come Oscar time, coming from Bradley Cooper. And we just talked about Ferrari, which comes to us from Michael Mann, starring Adam Driver and Penelope Cruz. If you want to see the Joker's thoughts to that one, you can see him right up there. But now we turn our attention to another biopic that I was very excited for. You were all familiar with the Seaman and his mom's thoughts on Elvis. But the one thing I think that was kind of missing in that story, because you bit off all of Elvis's life, didn't get a ton of Priscilla Presley. Well, fortunately, Sofia Coppola and A24 are here to save the day in that regard. If you wanted to know more about Priscilla Presley during that run of Elvis's life, well, this is the movie that's going to do it for you. What are we talking about? When you pull up a chair, take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in, spoiler-free, into Priscilla. And as I said, this comes to us from Sofia Coppola, one of my all-time favorites. Every time this woman steps out and writes and directs a movie, I am always here for it. And what's cool about this one is the subtlety of this one, right? It's a movie where, Coppola is really taking a look at what life was like from Priscilla's perspective. Elvis on the road. Lots of times wouldn't bring her along. She met him at 15, had so long to go before they really had a real relationship. And how all of these things impact Priscilla and how she carries herself throughout the movie, I just found fascinating, right? It's one of these where, you knew Elvis cheated, and that was covered in the Elvis movie, but you didn't really get to feel what that did to Priscilla. And what's great here is at no point does Coppola ever try to have a flat-out conversation about toxic relationships, or in movie a conversation between Priscilla and Elvis about the way that he treats her and how they both, how this relationship works in general. It's more about watching what all of this does to Priscilla and the way that she carries herself, the body language. There are so many small, interesting little body language details that tell such a big story. And it's one of those, like, when I was walking out, I wasn't necessarily blown away with the movie. It's very, very good. It's unbelievably well composed. The way that Coppola, shoots it and tells the story, it's all great. But it didn't wow me walking out. Driving home and thinking about it, the wow started to kind of set in, because it is super subtle in the ways that Coppola is looking at a toxic relationship like this one, and how this relationship, isn't toxic all the time, and there is real love between the two characters, but there are things that you just subtly see building and building and building in Priscilla until she gets to a point where it's like, you know what, I can't do this anymore and I'm leaving. And that's where the movie is really focalized and focused around that relationship. The movie starts with the night that, or the day that Priscilla gets asked to go to an Elvis party at 15, and it ends with her leaving Graceland. Spoilers, if you didn't know that was what was going to happen. But I found it fascinating to see this story and how fame both influences the desire and the want to be with someone, and then you see that person, and they're not what you get on stage. I think one of the most fascinating things in this entire movie is Jacob Elordi's performance as Elvis. And I was talking to my mom about this, and like Austin Butler became Elvis. You know, he had the stage presence and he did all of the music and stuff. And you don't really get that from Elordi. We get to see Elordi play the piano. We get some shots of him on stage doing Elvis things, but this movie's about Priscilla, so you only get small tastes of that. Most of the time we see Elordi are in these intimate moments with Priscilla, and the way in which he evolves and changes. He almost seems like a shy, timid, scared kid in a grown man's body when he's around Priscilla. His hands are always fidgeting. He's always, doing a lot of this. His leg is shaking. He seems nervous. And the way in which Priscilla responds to that and how her presence almost brings a calming effect to him, right? The thing that is really interesting is like Priscilla's 15 years old when she's asked to go to this party and meet Elvis. And I think at that point, Elvis is in the military. They're in Germany. And I think he's like 24, 25. He's almost like 10 years older than her. And you're just like, what about a 15-year-old girl when literally women are throwing themselves at Elvis anywhere he goes? What would be like? What would draw that man to this woman? And the fact that she was from his hometown in Texas, kind of gave him a security blanket, a place that felt safe. You see that so early in what Elordi is doing, specifically with his mannerisms. And as he becomes more famous, and the fame influences Elvis more, and the control that the Colonel had on Elvis, those hooks are even deeper. And by all means, that's something that Elvis really covered. This movie doesn't really cover the Colonel at all. He's mentioned, I think, twice the whole film. But it's one of these things we know that's going on with Elvis when he's not home. And how that changes, and how the drugs change the way that Elvis starts to act around Priscilla. The shaking goes away. There's more confidence. He gets angrier. He has a much shorter fuse. And how all of that impacts Priscilla is where this movie really, really thrives, and where CAILEE Spaeney just absolutely knocks this thing out of the water, man. She is so freaking good, because like I said, this movie, script-wise, I don't think the script is doing the big punches, right? Where it's like, oh man, here's what I have to say about toxic relationships, and here's what I have to say about fame impacting a person and their relationship, and here's what I have to... No, it's not that. It's not flat out spelled out for you. But when you watch, like that was the thing, driving home, I was just thinking about the different things that Spaeney is going through as Priscilla, and how her demeanor changes and evolves and gets to a point where she just has to walk away. That is the gold of this movie, right? Coppola, she's gonna freaking shoot the heck out of this thing, tell the story visually in a wonderful way, and it really is a beautiful movie. Like, you watch the way that Coppola brings you in and out. I love some of her transitional elements. I love where she puts the camera at certain times. Some of the intimate moments and how she captures that stuff really, really pops. But the movie works because CAILEE Spaeney is just doing unbelievable things. One, watching Spaeney transform into the 15-year-old Priscilla to the Priscilla that we all know, the dark hair, the real elaborate, looks to the hair and the eye makeup, and how those were all things that Elvis made her do. And it's fascinating to watch her go through these things, because like I said, there's a 15-year-old girl who gets invited by, to an Elvis party, and then Elvis has to see her time and time again and to talk to her on the phone, and this relationship starts, and you see her in school, and it's like, any high school kid's dream. Everybody had that one person who was famous, whether they were an actor or a singer, that was like their crush for forever. Well, that's Priscilla Presley with Elvis. And then she gets to meet that man, and how Spaeney just the watching her in the the honeymoon phase, so to speak, right, where she is just enamored with Elvis, and the fact that in intimate moments he's not the guy that he is on stage, and how that draws her to him is so much fun to watch. And then to see the opportunity to get like these really extravagant dresses and things that she probably would have never had if she wasn't with Elvis. You see the joy in her, but at the same time, you also see that control that Elvis had, where it's like she comes out in a dress that she really likes, and he's like, nah, that doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't pop your eyes. It doesn't, it's one of these things where Elvis, as much as he loved Priscilla, there was, this expectation that needed to be. And it's one of these where as the fame grows and that control that Elvis has changes, you kind of see him trying to turn Priscilla into something. And the thing that I think Spaney does so well in this is while she adjusts to that and takes those and absorbs those blows because she really loves this guy, even though at this point, or as you progress, like the fame is impacting the type of relationship he has with her, you see her kind of figure out ways to absorb it, but then find the joy in the things that she's doing anyway. You know, she really did enjoy the hair, and she, you know, loved having the makeup and stuff. And then by the time you get to the end of it and it all dissolves, you kind of see Priscilla start to go back the other way toward, you know, not as extravagant in her looks. But like just watching how she navigates all those things, I just thought was fascinating, and how she handles Elvis starting to do things that she's not okay with. It's all in the body language, and the performance is just so spot on, and it's really the thing that makes the movie work. Like everything that CAILEE Spaeney is doing, you feel it as it culminates, right? It's just like, you know what, you're not necessarily getting punched or slapped in the face by anything initially, but it's like, you know, this thing happens, and then this thing happens, and then this thing happens, and then this thing happens, and they all kind of start to stack up to where you understand where she's coming from. And the other thing that I thought her and Coppola did such a good job with is showing you how much she loved Elvis, you know, and when things were good, you'd get into these moments, but between the drugs and the tours and the control that the Colonel had on Elvis, you see all these outside factors impacting this relationship, and there are moments where it's like you can see it in her face. She knows it's not going to last, but then you get a moment where things are great and that electricity is there. And then Elvis will have a mood swing, and you kind of get this like borderline fear, and the swings of emotion that he has in and around her, and how Priscilla absorbs it and then moves about, you know, and does what she's got to do. I just thought it was really impressive to watch Spaney do all of this stuff and have the movie ultimately impact and hit you in a way where it's like, it's all on this girl. Like, if CAILEE Spaeney doesn't nail all the things that she's doing, I don't know if this movie really works that well. But because she nails all that stuff and that subtlety is there, you get to kind of like observe this relationship almost as like a fly on the wall. And you understand why it dissolves and why it ends up the way that it ends up. But you also understand why Priscilla has always had an unbelievable love for Elvis and has always tried to protect him, you know, post his death. You know, she like I said, she's very involved in both of these movies, even though you're getting a kind of different viewpoint depending on who is in the driver's seat. One of the other things that I really enjoy in this movie is watching Priscilla interact with Elvis's family and how her family like plays into like a 15-year-old, 16, 17-year-old going to Memphis when she's in, you know, Germany. All that stuff was really interesting, but how she interacts with Elvis's family, his grandmother, his father, one of the, you know, maids that works in the house at Graceland, like seeing all of that I loved, and was another layer to Priscilla's life. When Elvis wasn't around, she had these other people that she really did adore, and is another thing that I really thought added to, you know, Spaney's performance, and how she kind of bounces off these other people who have a lot of love for her, specifically at the end when she's leaving. Like, seeing her say goodbye to those people really, really hits you, and that's just good filmmaking all around. And I think when you take Baz Luhrmann's Elvis and you take Coppola's Priscilla, and you kind of can look at them at the same time and together in a way, it really does kind of give you a much more full picture of what the life was for both of these people. So let's get the Jokers up and give this one a score. As I said, Sofia Coppola is your writer here, along with Sandra Harmon and Priscilla Presley. I think they capture in the story all the major moments and things that would pop. And that was the other thing, recreating looks and certain things that we had seen Priscilla in, spot on, really well done. But you know, when it comes to the writing, it's really just kind of laying out these intimate moments and different moments that had impacts on, you know, Priscilla in her relationship with Elvis. And then it really rides on Coppola's ability to shoot the heck out of this movie, create good pacing, keep you intrigued and invested the whole way, never feeling like the movie is boring, and then really just kind of almost stepping back and letting your two actors just take off and shine. And the subtleties in the body language and the way that they interact with each other in these intimate moments or these heated moments or these loving moments really start to paint a picture of a relationship that we can understand, but also see a relationship that was human and tough. You know, there were outside factors playing into both of these people. And that's the thing I love about the beginning of the movie is you see this very natural love, you know, the comfortability that Elvis has as soon as he's around Priscilla. And then you see how the fame and everything else that shot Elvis up here impacts both of those humans in the way that they hold themselves and carry themselves and do things. And watching Priscilla get to a point where she has to walk away, it's built perfectly to the point where you hit that mark, you as an audience member are like, yeah, I'm with you. I would have to too. And it really is heartbreaking in some ways, but it's just done so beautifully and presented in such a way where it's like, you don't hate Elvis, and I don't think Priscilla would want you to hate Elvis, but you understand what she was dealing with through this whole tumultuous run of Elvis's life and how that impacted her as a person. You really feel that, and that really shines because CAILEE Spaeney is absolutely brilliant and excellent. Jacob Elordi really does a phenomenal job in capturing the presence of Elvis and nailing those intimate moments. And that's the stuff that really pops for me. That's the stuff that hits, and you can see how fame and fortune and all the things that were thrown at Elvis can impact something that was so pure and innocent. And without having to have the colonel involved or different things, because of knowing that part of the story, you feel all of that, even though it's off screen, and how it impacts Priscilla in the relationship. And CAILEE Spaeney just delivers excellence non-stop in this one. I really enjoyed Priscilla. I'm going 4 out of 5 Jokers. Now, the question is, what about you? Have you had a chance to see Priscilla at any of the film festivals? I don't know if it's been anywhere other than New York. But I think New York was the debut. It might have been at one of the others. I don't know. If you've had a chance to see Priscilla at one of the film festivals, want to know what you're thinking. Did you enjoy it? Did it not work for you? Did it really pop? Anything that you got, man. Good, bad, indifferent. If you've seen it, and if you haven't, have we enticed you? Is this something that's on your list? Are you an Elvis fan? Are you a Priscilla fan? Was Priscilla's story something that was missing from the Elvis movie? So does that make you excited to see this and get that angle of what was going on in that relationship? Are you a Sofia Coppola fan? What's drawing you in? What are you excited about? Good, bad, indifferent, anything you got on Priscilla, put it down below in the comment section. I look forward to talking to you down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give the Joker a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out, Joker's still got a couple videos to go, but whether it's me or with the C-Man, you want to show a little love and support, well, hey, come join C-Maniac Nation. It's super easy. All you got to do, jump over there, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts. And until next time, for the C-Man's Cinema Sit Down, I've been Joker. I'm signing off. Peace.
Oh, you guys are still here. You snuck up on me. You must be looking for more of this guy. Well, I got 2 video options for you, man. Right up here and right over here. And if you want all those C-Man goodies, well, hey, come join the squad right on over there, and I'll catch you on the next one.